Hey, I'm Nick.
Hey, I'm Vinny.
You listen to the Power Dump Podcast.
Let's talk some shit.
Hey, guys. This is going to be episode 5?
Yeah, I think it is.
5 of the Power Dump Podcast with Nick.
And Vinny.
And thanks for tuning in with us. Hopefully we got some video for you guys to kind of check out and stuff. We're still in the back of the tattoo space for the moment. So video quality for this one might be a little rough, but hey, I mean, you can at least see us. So that's a plus.
And if I get home and start editing it and it doesn't work out, we'll just run it with just sound.
Yeah, so it'll be just audio until we get things figured out still. We're still a little rough around the edges on this, but not a bad thing.
No, we're getting there. We're getting where we need to be.
Yep.
So
hopefully I sound a little better. Last episode I was just fighting a cold and still little residuals, but I'm feeling a heck of a lot better. Took a test and stuff. I wasn't COVID positive or anything. I got a coworker that's out with their kiddo that's sick with it. So
crappy.
Yeah, speedy recovery. So
yeah,
it's pretty much just a common cold anymore. It seems it's crazy to think 2 years ago everybody's freaking out and it's still ridiculous that we're still talking about it 2 years later. But it was such a weird point in I think everybody's lives that it's hard not to like talk about it.
I don't think that one person can say they haven't been touched at some point by it or impacted in some fashion.
Oh yeah.
Everybody say hi to Angela.
There's Angela. We got some video. So you're on video. Hey.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, you too. So yeah, we're just closing up at the shop here, and we do this a certain night out of the week at the shop and stuff when everybody's taken off. So we hear some stuff in the background or even the phone ringing and stuff. Apologize, but it is we're in a different spot, So
Life's gonna happen.
Yeah, life will happen.
When we get to the studio, which I say studio, but it's really just a room I'm converting in my house.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? We could hear an air conditioner kick on or
Yeah.
a crazy dog bark or my wife.
Throw the cat across the room or something.
She would never do that.
No, because that is her baby.
Oh my gosh, she's got 3 of them, and
I only saw the one.
Yeah, well, the other 2 were hiding from you, but
Okay.
they're her life. Like if I don't know, she would take those cats over me.
That's sad. I mean, we're dog people, me and my wife and stuff. We had 2 Dobermans at one point. We unfortunately had to give up one of them. He got a little too aggressive and bit through my right thumb, and that's with that breed and stuff. It's kind of a no. Like once they turn on the no-owner and stuff, it's just kind of like it's got to figure something out. So we found him a new home. We didn't get him taken out or anything like that. It wasn't that bad, but it was to a point where I got almost a little bit of PTSD from it, where I just didn't trust him anymore, and it was the hardest thing I ever had to make a decision on doing. But after he was gone, I miss him still to this day. But
Sure.
it fucked me up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a small dog. I mean, he was 95-pound European bred Doberman. I'm sure some of my clients that are listening that have heard the story through and through. But yeah, it was not cool.
Yeah, we have a Great Dane that we rescued last November,
Mm-hmm.
and it was rough, man. Like we just remodeled our house, and we got new furniture in the living room and stuff. And
She claimed all of it, didn't she?
she scratched the covers right off the cushions, man, and it was tough. But we worked with her, and she's a lot better now. She can't go around other dogs, but she loves people.
Yeah.
She's just a big old sweetheart.
Yeah, no, she seemed like a sweetheart.
Yeah. Again, thanks for tuning in, guys. It's a weird episode because this is the first episode that we're recording after our first episode actually hit YouTube.
Yep.
Now, we've gotten some feedback on that, and I think we're doing things right. Some people seem to be really enjoying it. I'll say it's going to get better production-wise and quality-wise. I'm learning as I go. This fly's pissing me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't ask him to be a guest.
Yep.
Prick. So what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, besides just a whole lot of work and stuff, man, it's just I've been still hitting my classes of jiu-jitsu. I've been doing that for 8 months or so. So in a couple months, it'll be almost a full year
Mm-hmm.
that I've been doing it. For years and years, I've always talked about like trying to get into doing some kind of ground mixed martial arts. I've done a lot of stand up training in the past and everything, but I'm not sure if I'm at a point where I really want to like compete and do this. I might, I if I'm still sticking with it, trying to get progressively better with belts and rankings. I mean, it's like one of those things where you sharpen a stick so much you're gonna want to stab something with it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I might possibly do a tournament in the future or something, but um, I think just the grind of getting progressively, slowly better at getting somewhere with it. I mean, from where I started to where I'm at now, it's like I'm a different wrestling practitioner, I guess is the best way I could say with the jiu-jitsu stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into we're getting into submission stuff, and it's full gi. I don't do non-gi. People not sure about what that is and stuff. Gi is the outfit, that you wear, like a karate
The
outfit.
bonsai
But
tree house coat
yeah,
that Daniel's
yeah,
son wore.
yeah. No waxing on and off with that shit. But
Yeah.
no, it's been interesting. I mean, it's to basically get choked up by a seventh grader, well, is pretty humbling. So, and yeah, that's actually happened once. So, well, didn't fully choke me out, but it was to a point where I was learning some stuff and trying to defend something from him being on my back and just trying to survive. So, um, it's been an awesome experience so far. I've had my fair share of small injuries and things like that. So, but that's been kind of really it, man. I just sold my project car recently, which um, was a good thing and then kind of a bad thing. I mean, I missed having a project car. It was a 95 240 that I swapped an RB20 motor. That's the first gen Skyline motor into it with a big turbo. It was set up on the 85 and stuff. It was fun, but man, with project cars, and I know a lot of people out there will know this if you have one or worked on something that was a project that, little money, and then you go through spurts of like, oh man, I can afford this part, this is getting exciting, like things are going to start getting finished. Man, fixing one problem, two other things would happen, especially with older cars, older motors and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
things deteriorate. I think I pretty much replaced everything on that motor inside and out with upgraded racing stuff in mind. And when it was finally done and was street tuned, it wasn't a full tune on it. It was pretty fast, but there was some stuff on it that I knew I wasn't 100% happy with. It wasn't one of those cars where I'm like, man, I'm gonna fucking keep this thing forever. Even if it blows up, I'll rebuild it. Um, I got to a point where it's like that project just for the motor drivetrain stuff to get going took 6.5 years to get done. It should have been done basically. It was supposed to be an easy swap. That should have been done pretty much almost in a couple weekends.
Yeah.
So once we got into it and saw cylinder 6 was burnt up, I was like, well, it's already apart. I might as well fucking go all the way with it. And then,
Like the rings in it were fried, or
yeah, one of the rings was, smoked. And when I took it to an engine, shop to get it dipped and bored and honed and all that stuff. The guy was like, "Oh, it was just needed to be cleaned up. It was fine. You didn't even technically need to do that." I was like, "Well, I'm gonna do it right,
Yeah, I would like it to not smoke.
Yeah. So, it was a fast, fun little car. The turbo that I got talked into like trading my smaller setup for, with a bigger Borg Warner turbo, wasn't a ball bearing turbo, so it took forever to spool up. But when it did, it was an angry ape just driving full forward, forward. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with the car. I didn't know if I wanted to drag it. I didn't know if I wanted to drift it or if I wanted to track it. I know I wasn't 100% happy with it. So I ended up listing it for sale. And man, I don't know if I know a lot of people have, but trying to sell something on Marketplace,
That's where I
man,
sold my last
fuck.
pickup.
It is the most annoying experience. And like, you know what you got, and I wasn't even asking a shit ton of money for this vehicle, but enough to recover what I spent on the car. I didn't want to lose my ass on it, but I had like people trying to trade me shit, and I even put on the post, no trades. There was one possible car I would have traded for. It was an S2000. I don't know, like a lot of people are cringing hearing that, but I've owned a couple of those. I actually even had one when I even had this car. So I had like two kind of potential project cars. That was just a fun, weekend summer car. I should have kept it as 2000 and sold it off the Nissan. That would have, probably wouldn't have gotten rid of this car. I'd still have it. But I was kind of like, you know what, this Nissan's going to be twice as fast, twice as fun. I'll be able to do a lot more shit with it. And then to get to the point where I'm like, man, I'm so over putting fucking money into this thing.
Yeah, you get to a project like that, and it's like, at some point, it doesn't matter what I do, my wife's going to be upset about it either
Yeah,
way.
well,
So.
it wasn't so, my wife, like, thank God, like, is super into cars and all that stuff, and it was my car. She would have, you know, accepted if I was going to keep it and keep working on it. And if I would have kept this car, I would have basically pulled the motor out of it. So all of the countless hours and money I spent on getting this, because at a certain point I couldn't work on it, and I don't have the time with my job and all that kind of stuff. It's really time consuming. So I got to a point where I was like, man, I'm going to pull this thing out and fucking swap an LS motor into this thing and turbo that thing and have this thing stupid fast. And that was the initial plan when I first got the car. But I had another donor car that had this motor and a brake setup that I really wanted that was in this other older 240. And, my brother, being like kind of a Nissan purist and stuff, he owned an older 91 240. He had the 4-cylinder turbo from Japan swapped into his. And he's like, dude, just keep it on Nissan. Everybody wants,
The 240SX or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the one that had it was a 4-cylinder, but it had 2 spark plugs in each cylinder, right? Pretty sure they did.
Well, his was a red top SR20 motor, and those, I can't remember exactly what motors those. I don't know. The Nissan guys are going to be cringing on that, but I don't remember exactly what motors those engines came out of. But yeah, they were turboed 4 cylinders. Mine was an inline turbocharged V6.
Yeah. So, for all of you gearheads out there, I know it's frustrating to listen to some of the stuff we say, but neither one of us are like ASE certified as mechanics. Like, we are enthusiasts. Like, I'm looking right now. I'm keeping my eyes open for. I'd like to get a 68 to 72 like Chevelle or
that'd be awesome.
Or something like that. And my wife is on board with that because she likes those cars.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And luckily, I've got tools in my garage to do about anything I need to. So.
Yeah, and I'm not just into imports. I mean, my problem is I'm into too much shit. Like, I like muscle cars. I like imports. I like lifted Jeeps and trucks. I've had all of that stuff. The lifted stuff's fun until you break it.
Yeah.
But that's with anything. Motorcycles. I mean, I've had all of it. I'm not really much of a motorcycle bike guy. I mean, I can get into stuff with my past and how I kind of even got into tattooing and stuff with my dad being a biker and hanging out with a lot of. I grew up around a bunch of Hell's Angels and going to poker runs as a kid in the '80s. I mean, that shit was
pretty rad.
Fucking unheard of. I mean, like, that was some wild outlaw shit. Then that people want to be included in stuff, but because of these TV shows and shit that came out 10 years ago. But
how many Harleys do you think sold Your Sons of Anarchy?
Oh my God,
came out?
Like dumb amounts. I mean, even before that, I mean, the culture of seeing Dane Cook on a fucking motorcycle. There was a Fast and Furious spinoff of the original director that made a motorcycle movie. It was like,
was it called Torque?
I think so. It was Torque or one of those movies, and it was fun, kind of cheesy. Lawrence Fishburne was like the big.
Oh, Biker Boys.
It was Biker Boys. That's
Biker
what it was.
Boys.
Yeah,
It had,
Lawrence Fishburne was like
Lisa Bonet was in it. Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, but Dane Cook showed up to a group of like biker guys.
Kid Rock was in it.
Yeah, it was like the cheesiest bullshit movie. I mean, I know it was making fun of the Too Fast Too Furious franchise because obviously a bike's faster. It's just,
a slow bike is faster than most fast cars.
Yes. So like, but it was such a cheese dick movie. But I mean, that stuff made the import motorcycle stuff what most guys call it rice rockets a thing. But I like all that stuff. I mean, if I was to get a motorcycle right now, I've always been a fan of Triumph's Bonneville, like the old James Dean style, like cafe racing bike. Just a classic look. I like that. I don't like loud, rumbly Harleys. I know you're a big Harley guy.
Yeah, I have a 21 Road Glide.
Nice.
So,
and my brother, my younger brother's had several different bikes. I mean, his last bike, he has a current one right now that's just a little 350, just kind of pretty much a scooter just to get around town and have fun with.
I had a metric bike before my
Mm.
Harley. I'd had like when I was a kid, I had a Sportster and stuff, but
Nice.
I bought this off of I think Craigslist or something. I bought a 2000 1100 V Star, and my wife and I put it in the garage and stripped that thing down to the frame. I made a paint booth out of like plastic sheeting in my garage.
That's awesome.
Sanded everything down, repainted it, built a fairing for it. Bought a fairing, but rebuilt all the connectors and stuff for it, the supports. And it was fun, but I was having trouble keeping up, man, with that little 1100. So I was looking around. I got this. I looked at this Road Glide, and I was just like, man, I was enamored with it.
Nice.
It was so badass.
And I love bikes just as much as anybody that's into our lifestyle and like bikes to
I wish you had one we could go ride, man.
I gotcha. I mean, I totally would, but I just think this day and age, the way that people drive, and it's not just in Omaha, I mean, it's just everywhere. And I know a lot of guys on bikes and stuff can agree that people drive like fucking assholes,
Yeah,
and they don't give respect to space with guys on bikes.
they sure don't. And that being said, there are some bike riders out there that are riding like
Assholes.
dipshits.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I'm trying to instill like values into my kid that keep him safe because he wants to ride. He's been into bikes and been interested since he was little because I've always had them. But we're building him a bobber right now.
That's cool.
And it's out of an old V Star, but it should look pretty cool. Maybe as we go, I'll throw some pictures up on our Instagram, which actually we got an Instagram. There's nothing on it yet, but it's Power Dump _podcast is our ad.
That's
so
awesome.
check that out.
Cool.
But we'll be throwing some stuff up there, and who knows, maybe I'll throw some video up of Nick fighting another 7th grader when he starts competing.
Be getting choked out and all red faced and stuff. Yeah, but I grew up with my dad. Like he had an old Sportster. Like I don't remember what year. It was the 70s. Like it was an old bike. I don't know how many times I've helped open up that thing, and he's repainted it. I have one of his old original gas tanks when he laid it down and stuff's got a big dent in it and stuff. But I just remember helping him paint the tank, and he put this like Harley Davidson decal on the side of it and inlaid it, and we shot the clear over it and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's what he thought I would get into eventually. Not tattooing. It was going to be more like painting motorcycles and hot rods and getting into, I think he thought I was eventually going to get it to being a gearhead like he was. And little did he know that yelling at me that I didn't bring him the right fucking tools, or I didn't hold the flashlight in the right spot, and I know a lot of guys that help their dad wrench on shit could agree that it happened to all of us. That we're fucking retards and didn't know how to do shit right, and that was the wrong tool, and like just go inside, that kind of shit. Destroyed dreams of liking to wrench on stuff. I didn't get into it until I was much older, and my I could see it wore my dad's heart. He fucking loved that I was wrenching on a truck that I had by myself. I wasn't, but it wasn't fun helping my dad work on things. And my wife can see the frustration on me when I'm working on house projects and stuff. I get really flustered really quick, is because it's not an easy process.
Right.
I don't want to drill a shit ton of holes in my wall and have to fix another thing on top of the thing I'm fixing. So I get frustrated with that stuff very easily.
When I was younger, my dad bought, and I was probably 12, but he bought this El Camino, and he's like, "That's yours when you start driving." It was pretty nice,
that's awesome.
man.
I like El
But
Caminos.
it had the transmission was out in it, and so it was just sitting there. And I would go out and wash this car out in the backyard and stuff, and just kind of detail the inside of it, and the engine was great. So I'd start it up and listen to it run and stuff.
Just
And
couldn't
then
get it into gear.
one day he came home. It was probably a year later or something, and he had a transmission in the trunk of his car.
Oh, cool.
And he's like, "Here you go." And he carried it around there for me, and then I got it up on the jack stands, and I changed that transmission by myself. And he came there, and you could tell he was proud, But I remember he bent down and he picked up a washer, and he said, "What's this washer to?" And I said, "I don't know."
It goes
He
to
said-
something, right?
He said, "It's there for a reason. You're going to
Yeah.
take this back apart until you find out where it went."
Oh, shit.
And it ended up being pretty pretty quick find because it was I want to say it was like a washer that went on the nut side of the transmission mount that goes in the cross member.
Okay.
So I got the drive shaft back unbolted and shit,
Yeah.
and I got there and I was like, oh, we're right here, but he was a firm believer, and the engineers built that car and they put that there for a reason, and it needs to go back in there.
Yeah. Somebody was talking about a motorcycle that him and his buddy drove around on, and there was a bunch of stuff missing. And it was somebody that was around here, the shop and stuff. It was good.
Was it me?
Story
Because
time.
I had a dirt bike when I was a kid that didn't have a throttle, so I rigged up a string.
No, might have been. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it was tough, man. But it had the clutch and the brake and everything, but no throttle, so you had to just jerk on this string and go. Wham!
Oh shit, that's funny. So, but yeah, man, I've had a lot of time of around that life, wrenching and all that kind of stuff, and with all of that being said, with my dad, being kind of a dickhead about that kind of stuff too, it wasn't fun. It was it felt like work, and most of the time when it was work like that, wrenching on like a car, truck, or most of the time it was a bike. It was because it was broke and we couldn't afford to fix the shit anyways, but we're still trying to get somewhere to get it to where it was fixed. So, not that we were like super dirt poor like growing up and shit, but I didn't have a lot of shit that a lot of people grew up having around me and stuff. So when stuff like that broke down and shit, my dad was a maintenance guy at a leather factory place and stuff, and he was, he fixed whatever he could just to save a buck.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have it. So, but that life with motorcycles and stuff, I grew up with just, not that I'm uncomfortable driving a motorcycle or having somebody on the back of it. It's just progressively seeing how the drivers just don't, pay attention or give a shit. If they can't hear, and it's shitty to think that most guys want a loud bike because they want to be heard coming up the side of them and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not so much that they're showing off like, oh, I got a fucking loud ass bike. It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. But it's so the motherfuckers can hear you coming, know? So,
yeah, there those stickers that say "Loud Pipes Save Lives." I think they probably really
that's true,
do.
man. Like I have a client of mine that bought one of those. I think it's the V Star, like the big motor Harley. That still I think is like one of their faster production bikes. I know
A V-Star would be the Yamaha.
Well, it's not the Yamaha.
Is it a Harley?
It's a Harley that has some big motor in it that looked like it was a Yamaha, but it was a Harley. It was their first iteration of those bikes came out in I think the early 2000s, and they were mainly
Buell?
silver. Not Mule or the Buell.
Buell was
no.
like Harley's take on the crotch rock.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't a Buell. It was after all that died. From Harley.
I'd have to research that.
I'd have to figure out what I have to figure out what that bike was
Yeah.
called, but that client basically went and put bigger, louder pipes on it because it was such a quiet bike. He said he got sick of being run off the road and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was crazy to think that Harley does put out some production bikes that are not that loud.
I try and plot my rides. I live in a good spot. I don't live. I live in town, but I'm far enough on the edge of town where I don't get a whole bunch of traffic out where I'm at. So typically I'll take off into Iowa, and it's not because there's no helmet law there, because I'll leave my helmet on. I don't care.
Yeah.
I need to keep what little bit I got up there.
I
But-
don't think I'd feel safe with not having a helmet on.
Yeah, I wear a brain bucket. I don't wear the
Sure.
full face helmet or anything, but
Yeah, it's something.
I can go right out, basically leave my house and jump on 680 and shoot over onto the actual highways in Iowa, and I don't have to go through any major cities or anything like that.
Yeah.
Not that I won't, but I didn't buy my motorcycle for like a transportation mode. I bought it for fun.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I don't have fun in stop-go traffic ever. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. It's hot usually, and it's annoying. And I want wind, man. I
Sure.
want to be moving.
I gotcha. So you took a trip recently down to California and met up with a buddy,
Yeah.
and then you videotaped that. Did you upload that on YouTube or any place?
It's on my YouTube channel. It's I think you got to have an invite to it to watch it
Okay,
though.
yeah, because you sent me
Uh,
an invite to watch it. It was a pretty cool
yeah, my
short.
video editing skills are so bad though. I was like, oh, I'll make
You
this
know, it
private.
looked really good though. I
Yeah,
mean, like I couldn't do it. I'm not savvy with video editing and all that stuff. That's like your expertise here, even with this podcast stuff. So Vinny here's the iron worker and stuff of all of the things that are going on here. I'm just,
you're not just another pretty face, though, Nick.
I just the pretty face here. So, so one of the other topics, just to kind of get away from all of our other lifestyle stuff, we're going to talk about some Kevin Smith stuff, some movie references.
Yeah.
Um,
I text you about that earlier because you know what made me think about it is last episode we were talking about dynamics of friendships and stuff.
sure.
And I started thinking about it, how they change as you get older and stuff. And then I'm like, you take somebody like Kevin Smith just popped in my mind, and look at the guys that he started making movies with when he was pretty much a broke ass kid.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're still all friends and he uses them in every opportunity he can. And some people are like, I've heard people bitch about that, and I think it's awesome. Like Adam Sandler
awesome.
does the same shit, man.
Yeah,
And
it's weird to people. Yeah, people even like give that guy shit about his dress choices when he's out in public. Not in a movie and everything.
because he doesn't care.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either.
Big ass basketball shorts and a t-shirt. It's like,
Yeah.
leave the guy alone, man. Like he's got more money than you'll ever.
I
have,
thought
so.
I saw somebody took a picture of him. He was in like sweatpants, a basketball jersey or something.
No, it's just,
And then
that's his everyday
he was
wear.
eating a hot dog,
Yeah.
walking down
Yeah.
down the sidewalk, and looked totally approachable. And for some reason, I'll bet he is. I'll bet Adam Sandler.
I think it would be to a point. I think he probably gets a lot of people coming up and asking him real dumb shit.
Okay, so here it is. I think that probably Adam Sandler out in sweatpants eating a hot dog out in public would be approachable. He's not. I don't think he's somebody that would be would be sitting at a restaurant and you would walk up to his table and that would go well for you. But
Yeah, I think that would be like the probably most biggest pain in the ass of being somebody that
it
was
would,
famous
man. Like
or especially a movie star, like
Yeah.
a guy that was in a band that was really popular. It's just like, dude, I just want to have a conversation with my friends and eat my goddamn food. Leave me the fuck alone. Like, I get it. You're a fan, but man,
you can see
let
here,
me be a person.
I eat my double from In-N-Out the same as everybody else.
Yeah, man.
I love that place. I had it in California.
In-N-Out?
good.
I think we had one where, man, it had been maybe 2 years back in the early 90s.
I think Denver's the closest one.
Yeah.
We're in Omaha.
The one here in town wasn't the greatest and stuff. It was off
There was an In-N-Out burger here?
really brief time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was off 42nd Street before, like, right off the interstate before you got to L in South
man.
Omaha, where that Burger King is. Like,
No shit.
yeah, right when you get off, that used to be an In-N-Out. It was literally there for maybe, I wouldn't even say a full 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird, man.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Maybe it's that whole like I like beer, and the beer that I like is brewed in Pennsylvania, and it's not in this city yet. And I say yet like it's a new beer, but it's Yingling. It's America's oldest brewery.
Yeah.
For some reason, the shipping just hasn't made it down here yet, And so every time I go somewhere that has it, like down in Missouri or wherever, I'll pick some up and bring it back home with me. But
So what? And it's random to say this, but what beer were you raised on?
So my dad drank a lot of beer, and he drank cheap shit,
Yeah,
So
my dad too.
like Old Milwaukee,
Okay.
like pretty gnarly shit.
So I was raised on Falstaff.
Yeah, he drank a lot of Falstaff.
Yeah, Falstaff was actually
Miller
brewed
too.
here.
He liked Miller a lot.
Really? Shit, my dad's buddy, like, he would brew some of his own beers and stuff, but I remember him showing up at the house in the wintertime one time. They're getting ready to work on something on my dad's bike, I think, hanging out. He always brought, a 6-pack with him, and it was just the cheap labeled white plain beer.
Beer, just said beer on it.
It was basically piss water. It was remember being a kid and stuff. I'd be like, hey, can I have a sip of that? I want to try that, And
Yeah.
my dad would just like, "Psh, you're not gonna get drunk off this anyways.
And my dad was pretty cool as far as like I could have a beer with him when I was a kid, but my ass better not leave the yard.
Yeah, well, it was the same. It was the same thing, and that one beer wasn't going to get us trashed or
No.
anything. Remember, my house growing up as a kid. When I was about 12, we moved into this house that was being built, and it was in South Omaha. And my dad knew a lot of the guys that were doing some of the work on the house, doing the drywall, finishing, and all that stuff. And I remember me and my sister were running around, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I get one of those?" And he was kind of like, "Shit, nobody else cares here. Just take this. Just don't leave the house. I'm talking to these guys about work and some of the stuff I want done here." And I remember drinking most of it and everything. My sister, she was way littler. My mom's gonna fucking kill me. Well, she'd kill my dad, but he's already dead. But I remember I think I stumbled or something. I like tripped over something. I was just being a dumbass, and I wasn't drunk or anything. But
You would
like,
have done it
without
this
the kind
beer.
of one of those like, yeah, we're taking that from you. And I think some of the workers were like, what the fuck is that kid doing with the beer?
So Kevin Smith.
Yep.
That's where I derailed us. I'm sorry about that. I do that a lot.
Look, a squirrel.
Yeah. My favorite work from him is the Clerks series.
It ended really good, man.
2 is my favorite. I loved 1. I loved Clerks.
That started everything. It started his entire career.
But 2 is my favorite, man. Rosario Dawson in there. I love her so much.
Yeah, you kiss her on the mouth.
Yeah, I'd kiss her on the mouth.
Yeah.
But just I think what I love about that movie though is just how tight everybody is in the the storyline and stuff. Like Randall and Dante, and I love what they did with Elias's character in the 3rd movie. I thought that he went from like this Bible thumping nerd to a devil worshipping nerd.
Yeah, the transition was funny.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, I was a fan of it. 3 was a bittersweet, goodbye. Him closing that book on his career. It was he ended it great. There was parts in the second one that was pretty good and cheesy. I think one of a few of his movies that I really wasn't a fan of, and a lot of people loved it, but I did not like Dogma, man.
I love Dogma. I love Mallrats. I love all that stuff.
So I think besides Mallrats was a great movie. I watched that one probably the most. Rooker did a great job with that too.
Chasing Amy, did you like that one?
I did like Chasing Amy. I was going to bring that one up.
Did you see Red State?
Yeah, I think I did.
Holy shit, man! That was a
this...
side of Kevin Smith that I had never thought existed.
Is that the one with Bruce Willis and the cast of characters that?
It had Dan Connor, John Goodman in it as like I think he was ATF. He could have been FBI.
Okay.
But there were these high school kids, and they were trying to get a prostitute online, and it was a trap, and it was this. I think that they were trying to push it off like they were the Westboro Baptist Church or whatever, those radicals.
Okay.
But this church was like they were kidnapping these people and like executing them and shit, man. And it was crazy.
Honestly, I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh,
because I'm thinking of read something that's got Bruce Willis and like John Malkovich in it. They made 2 of them.
Oh man, I can't think of it.
Yeah.
It sounds.
That's something with.
I love John Malkovich. He was a dude in Con Air, right? He played Cyrus the Virus.
I think
was that him?
I think so.
I love that movie too.
Yeah, that's my wife's favorite movie.
Yeah, it's one of mine. It's
besides Top Gun.
I love that one too.
Yep. Chasing Amy. I like that one a lot because I think it resonated with me as a teenager when that movie came out.
Yeah.
Just being in relationships and stuff at the time was a little awkward and weird, and seeing Ben Affleck and what was the other guy's name? He was a skateboarder. That's how he got his career started. Jason
Lee.
Yeah. Jason.
My
Lee.
name is Earl.
Yes. Yeah. Great guy. That dude would be hilarious to have an interview with.
Oh, it would
Yeah.
be so fun. I love My Name Is Earl.
Yeah, that show was so underrated and
Yeah,
very intelligently written.
it was.
Yeah,
It
for
absolutely
being
was.
about a bunch of fuck ups and
Catalina
trailer.
was so pretty. I'd
Yeah.
kiss her on the mouth.
Yeah. I'm your cousin. But yeah, Chase Amy I liked a lot. It had a bunch of good points, and I think one of the lines of that movie it cracks me up, but it's so not with our times of a adult humor, because Kevin Smith always wrote some like really off subject funny dude humor
Yeah.
that would probably get him a lot of trouble today's movie.
Well, that's
was.
with any comedy, I think, from
Yeah.
the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, the shit was funny even if it was fucked up. Just get over it. It was a fucking joke. People forgot that at some point. I mean, comedy people talk about that all the time when, I'm sure I get flack for somebody saying like, oh, you said retard. You can't fucking say that. Or we said midget, 2 episodes ago. It's like, oh, look, I'm sorry, little people.
What you guys have to understand is when we say retard, we're not talking like about somebody that's disabled.
No.
We say it like sometimes people are retards.
Yeah, and we're not supposed to say that now.
Completely what should be able-bodied and able-minded people act stupid.
Yeah, and we're not super PC, so
No, we're
get
not.
the fuck over it.
Yeah.
And we already said the first episode, like, stop listening if you're easily offended. So, anyways, but one of the jokes and that was, hey man, do you think your gay cousin gets turned on by the smell of shit? And it was just one of those like, holy fuck, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Or in Mallrats, when there was he kept busting his uncle for having to like get new cats and stuff. He's like, dude, you keep getting these cats stuck in your ass. What's going on here? He's like, well, how else am I gonna get the gerbil out? Like those jokes. I was like, who comes up with this shit? I mean, of course, Kevin. I mean, but like, how did he fucking hear this? That's so funny.
Yeah, that's great.
And roguish, but hilarious.
I also like how he's so proud of where he's from. He puts New Jersey in everything he can because he loves that place.
So that location of Clerks, that old, it wasn't even really a gas station. It was just like a convenience store and stuff. Was that in Jersey?
I don't know if it was filmed in Jersey, but I know that the setting was in Jersey.
Yeah.
Like it was the plot took place in Jersey.
I think it was amazing how he brought back most of the big players in the first
His
Clerks
girlfriend
movie.
fucked a dead guy.
Yeah, tried to suck it a dick to the way to the parking lot. Yeah, it was pretty awesome that he was able to still have contact and get those people, even if they didn't act ever since those movies and stuff, to come back for their roles and everything and have a cameo and be like, hey, this is what happened afterwards. That was 20 years ago. People still talking about me fucking the dead guy or that girlfriend. So no, it was a great movie. It was sad to see what happened to him as a character and stuff, but it was just like, man, it was really well thought of.
I think there's an understanding though that if you're a celebrity, especially a big celebrity, to me, Jason Lee's a big celebrity, but Matt Damon is damn sure a big celebrity, and so is Ben Affleck, and even some cameos that he had in Clerks 3, like Freddie Prinze Jr. I think going into it that you better be able to make fun of yourself if you're going to be in that movie because that's what he's going to do. And that's fine. That's great. That's what I loved about it, I think.
Did you see the Walrus movie that he did?
I did. Tusk?
Tusk. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I didn't either. I heard really, really good things about it.
I heard a lot of mixed.
Yeah. The few people that I know that the kind of movies they're in, I got good reviews from somebody that I thought was a friend at the time, said it was like really unexpected movie, and it was actually pretty good. I know it came on the heels of the whole Human Centipede stuff, which I never saw those movies. I don't want to see people fucking sewed each other's asses, ass to mouth. I mean, come on, man. I'd rather just watch Two Girls, One Cup if I'm going to watch that shit.
Like Kevin Smith said, you never go ass to mouth.
Right.
That wasn't him, I guess. It was, what's her, Rosario Dawson said, you never go ass to mouth.
Yeah. Well, some of those people that get paid quite a bit in porno flicks, I guess, there's some people that are specialized in that.
I'm a firm believer in never ass to mouth is never acceptable. I don't ever want poop near my mouth.
Yeah. That was another subject I told you, like I had a bunch of like a really good topic conversation with my last client today. And we're not always going to talk about porn, guys, but
Poop, we will talk a lot about poop.
yeah. Well, I mean, come on, Power Dump podcast. But so anybody that's got a good sense of poop humors are people. So come on. But
well, not just poop. Anything that has to do with butts or buttholes.
right. And one of my stickers when I go out on conventions is a gigantic butthole. So
It is.
It's hilarious. But so one of my last clients, I just was doing some Kingdom Heart nerd tattoo stuff on, which I love that shit. Anything nerd pop culture, obviously, that's kind of what is all about our podcast here, and a lot of other topics and stuff. But she brought up some porno stuff from the past and everything from how I used to, when I was finishing up my apprenticeship, my morning job and stuff, I worked security at a pornographic store. This is 2000, 2001, somewhere on there. I just needed something to pay the bills and stuff.
Back when people are actually still buying DVDs.
Yes. Well, this is actually on the cusp of VHS still.
Oh, no shit, huh? Yeah, I guess.
Being converted to DVD. So
I got my first DVD player in 2000, I think.
yeah. So I worked out of high school. I worked as a shift manager for Hollywood Video. And
I remember Hollywood Video.
Yeah, it was a fun job to have, but man, it was bullshit. I didn't get paid dick, you know.
Fucking asshole didn't rewind.
Well, yeah, it was a lot of that. It was still VHS, and they were converting stuff to DVD when I worked there for a short period of time. And then when I got into my apprenticeship and stuff, that lasted about 2 years. I quit that, and I took a year off. I wasn't exactly sure if, like, okay, well, am I making the right decision, or maybe it was just the place I was working at. So I won't really get into too much of that stuff, but it's led me to go to, I worked at a professional, if you want to call it that, job working for iMasters, wearing a suit and tie. Fucking hated it. That job, they made it seem like I had this like prestigious, like I was the doctor or something. It's like, dude, I'm just selling people plastic.
I sold fucking Kirby's, man.
Nice. So, but I quit that job because I fucking hated wearing a suit and tie every day. I didn't mind dressing up, but man, every day it fucking sucks. And so I end up at a different shop after that year. Ex-wife at the time was just like, what are you doing? Like, just, you're good at this. This is what you wanted. That's your dream job. Just go do it. So I got a part-time job working at a pornographic store out in Iowa.
That wasn't the dream job, though.
No, that wasn't. But I worked the morning shift and stuff when everybody's like leaving the back. That it had like a movie theater basically in it, and they have these like separate booth rooms that you can, you know, put tokens in and watch videos and stuff. Basically, it was small rooms to basically.
You didn't have to mop those,
no,
did you?
I didn't do that job. But I had a roommate that did for a bit of time.
No.
Yeah.
Did they pay him a lot?
It wasn't bad. I'll get to that first in a second, because I got a ton of like, not jokes, but like story about that stuff. But I basically just stood up front. I smoked at the time, so I chain smoked, and I had to check people's IDs. And my other job was to watch the monitors and make sure that lot lizards and stuff weren't coming in and forming lines in the back of the booths and stuff. But basically, it was an excuse. It was a dark, dim lit rooms and stuff. Basically, guys were cruising on each other and fucking each other's in the rooms. That's basically what it was. So I've seen more married guys out in public that I would see almost on a regular basis during the day when, you know, their wives are thinking they're at work when they're there getting fucked by some other dude. There's some other people, I'll change names and stuff with some of these people and stuff, but there was a guy that we nicknamed Preacher. I didn't know his full first name and everything, but his nickname was Preacher. He used to be a priest, wasn't anymore. Come up and say the most inappropriate kind of almost pedophilic jokes and stuff, and the guy creeped me out. But his thing was when he was in the back with these booths with these guys and stuff, he would have their pants around their ankles and stuff while he was sucking them off or whatever, and he'd swipe their wallets. So he'd take off a little bit before the guys would leave, so the guys you'd see whistling and all happy as shit coming out of the place, and I'm like, you sick bastard. And then they'd stop and go, fuck, my wallet. And they'd run back and try to find their wallet and shit and come up and be like, oh, I lost my wallet in the back, you can help me out. And it's just kind of like, no, I'm not gonna fucking help you out. I know what you're doing back there. The guy fucking left.
They got
You got your wallet, dude. Like,
they
get
got
the fuck
fucked
out
in
of
the
here.
asshole by an asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
That guy was a dick.
So that was like one of the few things and stuff I like dealt with. There is another gay gentleman, Mikey is what I'll call him. But I miss that dude. He was fucking hilarious. I mean, most of the time he would be cruising on guys and stuff, and most of them are the straight guys that are there just to buy their porn, watching, getting to chicks, on film and stuff. That's what that guy's there for. But Mikey would be sitting in the back doing these stretches, and his big thing he would say would be, "Trust, it's a gift." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's just like, "It's just, I'm like, "I don't, man," but that's hilarious. He'd just talk about random stuff. He was actually a really nice guy. There was a couple people I missed from that job. It was actually a fun job. But after a while, I got sick and tired of getting in fights with older guys that were pissed off because they had to show their ID. It was like, dude, it says it massively on the front of that door. It's a state law in Iowa that you have to show ID. It doesn't matter how old you are, you have to have your ID.
Well, you don't have to show your ID, but you're just not going to come in.
Yeah, it's just not.
That simple.
It's stupid rule, but it is what it is. My job, man. So, seeing a lot of the things I did at that job and stuff on like Gay Wednesdays, we'd close up all the monitors in the place, and there would be one monitor above our heads, right above the cash register. And on Gay Wednesdays, it was just that one monitor was on, showing like the most grossest shit we could find and put up on there. And half the guys would be just like, "Oh, I didn't want to see that." It's just like, well, stop watching it then, dude. It's like you're in a porno
Avert
place.
your eyes, pervert.
Yeah, I was like, what else are you in here for, dude? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't want to see that. It's just kind of like, well, I didn't want to see what you're buying, man, but you're buying that gigantic dong that's as big as my arm. What are you gonna go do with that shit?
Yeah, actually, the dildo you purchased off that wall is small, bigger than the fire extinguisher that's on the same wall. So
yeah. So, anyways, so she brought up, some of the other videos in the past and everything about that time period. I didn't know. I brought up the whole gay midget porn stuff. So if anybody still found it, let us know. I'm still curious. See if a whole bunch of people rushed out on their phones and tried to find midget on midget gay porn, not just some random normal guy on a little guy. But I brought that up, that we talked about that on the podcast and everything, and Two Girls One Cup got brought up, and I was just like, man, okay, so those two chicks, the disgusting, they look kind of cute.
that was fake, though, right?
I don't know if it was proven that it was actually fake or if it was real. I think it was probably soft serve.
Yeah.
It wasn't like some chick just, let a gigantic log out on a cup and they just start mowing down on this thing. If you guys have not seen the video, I mean,
if you haven't seen it by now,
you can. I mean, it was the most talked of. Like, okay, so there wasn't really much of a thing called viral videos at the time.
I sent that shit
But
to
that
everybody.
thing went fucking apeshit viral at the time. And I don't know if you'd never heard it, how you haven't. I mean, it's just kind of fucked up video.
It's real fucked up.
But
yeah, because these two good-looking chicks, man, they just start in was it an office setting or something?
Yeah, they're like, it started out with kissing, and
Yeah,
everybody's
you're
just
like,
okay,
all right,
this isn't a big a deal. What's this about? And they're going downtown on each other and stuff. And next thing you know,
a few minutes into the video, you're like,
yeah. So just go see the video. So the whole time I kept thinking about how fucking gross it is. The smell is alone, and I don't care if it's soft serve; it's still going in and out of their butts
and mouths. They were spitting it back and forth
and throwing up on each other, and all, like they kept taking it a bit further and further.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened to those chicks' lives to want to be able to do a video like that, where it's like, I'm gonna shit all over this girl, I'm gonna puke all over her, it's gonna be fucking gross.
They're both in Law and Order, the TV series.
Did they ever do? I want to know. I have so many random questions. And it didn't take 10 years or whatever since this video's come out for me to think of these things. But instantly thought about how much money are these girls making?
Yeah.
Or did they volunteer to do this shit? Or the guy that was filming it was like, "This is hot," or if it was like, "Man, we're gonna make so much fucking money off this thing," but it went on the internet. Who knows if they even made money off of it? Because I mean, somebody had to have bought it probably to be on that website.
Yeah.
For one, but two,
or it just leaked.
It leaked. But two, did they have careers afterwards?
I
What are they doing now?
I can't imagine anything super meaningful. I bet they stayed. If anything, they stayed in porn
yeah,
until
and
they were what 20s back then.
probably.
So
Yeah.
they're probably what they're probably our age, right?
I don't, maybe I don't know. I didn't really look up exactly who those actresses were,
Yeah.
if you want to call them that.
People
but,
our age do adult film.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I mean, but the thought of where things are nowadays to, how people are making obscene amounts of money and fame and everything from viral videos,
Oh yeah,
from YouTube to Instagram.
dumb shit, man. Like
Yeah.
the Numa guy and even stuff that's not even porn, like the Chocolate Rain kid and
Yeah, I mean, he
the
had
Double Rainbow guy.
Yeah.
Like those. I'll bet you every one of those people are enjoying huge monetary gains from the videos that they posted. That
Yeah,
at the time probably they didn't think was going to be even worth posting. But.
yeah. Or even the little cowboy kid that was singing in Walmart and got discovered, and the next thing you know, he's like on these, stages, is yodeling these songs and shit. But yeah, just the thought of that stuff, with those two chicks, with all those like random questions, and then it went from what goes into these minds of the women that choose to do bestiality stuff.
Yeah.
That's just that taking that that subject matter from the Two Girls One Cup thing just a step further.
And
It's
you can use that to segue back to Kevin Smith, even because he jokes about it in Clerks too when he does Kinky Kelly and the Sexy Stud.
So yeah, that was my segue from
the
all
little,
of this gross shit to that.
The little religious kid, Elias, he's jerking it, going, "I'm sorry, Jesus."
Right. So you are the fuckers that are gonna pay. You are the ones that are the ball lickers. So, but yeah, the bestiality stuff got talked about. There are tons of videos out there. It's happened ever since the 70s. It's a whole taboo of like the donkey, sex stuff.
Didn't a chick die from a horse or something?
It was a dude.
A dude?
It was a dude, Mr. Hands or something like that. Got railed by a horse that just thrusted a little too much, and it basically internally like went too far and like tore his insides apart, and he died on the way to the hospital. So yeah, it was a dude.
You can use that for a cautionary tale too. Be like, hey, ladies, this is why you don't want a large one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So
or dudes.
Or just don't fuck a horse.
Yeah, never fuck a horse. I could say I would never fuck a horse.
Yeah. So, but I mean, with some of that stuff, it's like, okay, it's okay to love your dog, but not fucking love your dog.
Yeah. Let's not French kiss the dog.
Yeah.
Or
red rocket them until
touch its wiener.
Yeah. I mean, fuck the hell. But what made what in their lives, if they need drugs that bad, or they're like, hey, you're gonna fuck this dog, I'm gonna fucking blow your brains out right now. It's just like, where's the gun, dude?
Yeah.
It's not happening here, I guess. Yeah. But some of them have done it.
Here's the thing. I really love this dog, and we're never going to be able to look at each other the same afterwards, so just kill me.
Right.
Like,
yeah, so, I mean, just the thought of all that stuff for the same thing, just like, did they have promising careers after this? Because the internet's always going to be there. It's never going to forget. People will find this shit.
I do wonder, though, like you said, and we could probably do a whole episode on just the weird shit that goes through people's minds. Like, and it's not just these strictly sexual deviants. It's also, the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. And
I went down rabbit holes and stuff with, especially being younger, because I mean, I listened to like a lot of death metal and really, satanic sounding bands and stuff, and they are, that
Nickelback.
Yeah, but it was also the curiosity of, man, why are they singing about this shit? But I'm really into the music, though,
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they even hear it at the shop and stuff, like, what are these guys saying? Like, what are they singing about? It's just like, well, it's not lyrically driven to your standards of what you like as music. It's more about the tempo, and musically, I'm like, that sounds like a machine gun going off right now, but that's all in time. I have a music background too.
What it boils down to, though, is what the instruments you can use to create a mood. I think, how that music makes you feel.
Yeah.
And
most people are like, oh, this makes me amped up. It makes me, and
some people get anxiety from it.
And me, it calms me down.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm so listening to the movement and the tempo of like the beat and the rhythm of what's happening with those chuggy guitars and that drum going ape shit. But it's people don't understand. It's like it's all in time. It's got a structure to the actual song, and it's mind blowing that they can do it that fast, that long, and that heavy.
And then vocally as well, whether or not you're into what they're writing about, you've got to give some of them credit for having the talent to articulate what they want to say, to wrap around that music, and then some of the music that you listen to, the vocals on that are so heavy, and there's a talent to being able to get your voice to do that.
Yeah, and I also tell people like, hey, when you're listening to this, like, don't fixate on the screaming or like the guy like that sounds like he's choking on the microphone. That's just adding to, the mood and direction. I couldn't hear, the guy's name, the Nickelback, the singer,
Chad Kroeger.
Sure, him singing the way he sings to something that's got blast beats and chuggy guitars. I mean, it's just not going to go together. So.
I read something about he said he could write a better song than Corey Taylor.
Just fucking kill yourself. I get it. You fucked Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
But get the fuck out of here with that shit.
That's wonderful.
Sorry, Corey, man, I'm on your side. Fuck that guy.
Fuck yeah. You like Slipknot?
I'm a big. I like the first one, and this might surprise some people. And actually, a lot of the fans don't even know this. That first album is basically a remake with Corey. They did that album with a different singer before that came out. I think that came out in 98 or 97. I think it was probably 98. Because they got signed.
What the album was called?
I think it was Make, Kill, Repeat. Or something like that.
I like the Subliminal Verses. I like both of those albums.
Okay.
Well, I think there's 3 now.
I actually got to meet that original singer in a different band that he was in. He was still in another band. He moved on. I think they got rid of him because a band was progressing to a point where they wanted cleaner vocals and somebody that could basically sing. But he, I can't remember the name of the band, but me and a few buddies at the time were able to talk to him and stuff. And he's a cool guy, but also a lot of people don't realize that most of that first album was written about it was a Werewolf was a kind of a D&D company, like, not company, but Werewolf was a brand of D&D type scenario gameplay, like Vampire, The Masquerade, like, Werewolf, Dungeons and Dragons. There was GURPS. There's a whole slew of these like role-playing games that were just like Dungeons and Dragons. The guy was super into Werewolf and wrote a lot of those songs about that game. He was obsessed with werewolves and just that game in general. But so to segue back to the curiosity of with like that music stuff, because we're going down a rabbit hole, but I guess with anything with like movies and like even weird, porno stuff, it was more of a curiosity, not just like I don't know, of why some of these people are doing some of the shit that they are. And the thought that some people could actually get paid, to do some of that stuff. And then to segue back to how it's such a different world then to what it is now, and how people can go viral and make a shit ton of money.
They went through 2 names. It says here on fandom.com. It says, I think PYG is supposed to be a take on Pig, so Pig System, and Meld, MELD is what I'm seeing here. But without doing a deeper dive, I don't know for sure. But just off the top layer of the internet, that's what I'm seeing.
For what?
The Slipknot original names.
Okay.
Before they were Slipknot.
Okay.
They're talented ass musicians, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, man. Got a chance to meet most of those guys at a personal. A couple of my old buddies from high school and stuff actually got to meet those guys right before they got signed and weren't really a huge name or anything yet. They came through a place at the Ranch Bowl I used to work at. I used to bounce.
That
at
place
the Ranch
was
Bowl.
awesome.
I used to be a bouncer there before that they closed it down. I did that as a part-time job with a bunch of people I grew up with. It was a really fun place and stuff, but the place was falling apart. I mean, I miss the place a lot. I've seen so many legendary bands at that place.
The bathrooms are so bad in that place.
Yeah, the place was falling apart, man. And I mean, that place has been there since the 50s. So like the place, they couldn't put more money into it to save it. It was a dying.
It's a Walmart now, isn't it?
Yes.
Right off 72nd.
Yeah. So, but kind of lost train of thought with most of the stuff we talked about. I mean, we went from everywhere to bestiality to Slipknot to
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith,
Cars, bikes.
bikes.
Well, we've talked about everything in the world. Podcast over.
Yeah, I know what to talk about now. We talk about everything we're into. So,
what we would be into is now that we're online here and we've posted some episodes. The email address that we have is powerdumppodcast@gmail.com. Any ideas you guys have, anything you want to hear about, definitely shoot us some emails. Like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff on everything. Right now, I've got Podbean up and running. I'm trying to get it to post to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and that's coming soon. We're on YouTube, and it's downloadable off Podbean right now, though.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
So, I'm not familiar with that app or anything. I know it's just an app that you have to download to listen to some certain apps.
I don't think you even need a username or anything for it.
Okay. Apple, I'm excited because that's really easy access to a lot of people that have Apple products.
And Spotify.
Spotify is probably the most used for all of this stuff. I know there's some hoops that we have to jump through to get it on there.
Yeah.
So I'm informing most of my clients and stuff about this. I'll put stuff on my personal Instagram. I fuck with Instagram more than anything. I don't use Facebook for much except for
I don't either.
Looking at shit I don't need on Marketplace and trying to sell stuff. Like I said, selling that Nissan this last time, I'm kind of at a point where, man, I don't want to fucking sell anything else on Marketplace, dude.
Quick story. I've went through a couple of newer trucks here in the last few years, but before that I had this. It was an 07 or no 05, sorry, F-150, and I liked the truck, but it was worn out. It had 180,000 on it or something, and I don't think it ever had a lot of work done to it, and cam phasers were going out in it, and I didn't want to mess with it, so I sold it, and the guy, and I'd put like the Raptor style grill on it, and the bull bar with the LED lights, and tow package mirrors, and
so you Midwested
custom seat covers on it and stuff. I made it as nice as I could make it, and so I put it on Facebook Market, and the guy asked me what I wanted for it, and I told him, and he's like, "Well, what's your bottom dollar?" I'm like, "What I put on there?" He's like, and he was coming from like Lincoln, and he's like, "So if I come with this much," I said, "It's going to be a wasted trip." Like, and he brought exactly what I asked. He liked the truck. My thing was, I wasn't trying to get rich off of it. I know it's a broken down ass truck. This guy wants to fix it. The price reflected that. But that being said, like, I didn't want to mess with it. I didn't want to negotiate back and forth. Like, this is what I want for it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it.
Yeah, that's the other thing I think a lot of people forget on Marketplace. It's, if I got the thing listed for $17,500, don't offer me $11,000 for it.
Yeah.
And you're broken down piece of shit Honda Civic.
Yeah.
I don't want. That happened a lot with that fucking Nissan. I had a bottom dollar I wanted for it. I put it up for a couple grand more because I knew I would have some wiggle room to bring it down and get people interested. But the amount of dudes asking to trade, like I had an H3 Hummer offered for trade, straight up. I was like, dude, nowhere it said in this that I wanted a fucking Hummer or there was a couple interesting thoughts of a couple vehicles, a couple Subarus and stuff, and I'm fucking over Subarus.
Here's the thing: if you think it's a fair trade, you think they're worth the same, go sell your Hummer, bring that money to me.
That's pretty much my thoughts exactly. Like I said, I would have been cool with trading it for an S2000, but nobody with an S2000 was interested in my shit. And most people see like a big turboed race car, and it's basically what it was.
Not that S2000 is necessarily like, you wouldn't have been screwing anybody over. It's not like a better car. It's just different.
Yeah, it was just my Nissan was hell of a lot faster than the stock S2000 could have been. But
I got to introduce you to my nephew that's got that LS swap Honda Civic. Man.
Yeah, I'm super interested to check that thing out.
We could probably even do a video walk around and throw that on our socials or something.
So I know my wife would kill me I haven't really talked to her about because I'm not entertaining the thought, because I have a Toyota Corolla GR in order, and I'm chomping at the bit to want this car, but I'm also not gonna the lease truck I've got right now. I'm not gonna basically bend over for $5,000 and then have to dish out another $5,000 over So it'd be
Yeah.
like basically almost 12 grand over asking price for this car. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not that dumb. Just because I want the car that bad, I'm not going to do that to myself. But the I just kind of lost where I was going to go with all of that. With the between the S2000, being like a slower car, and that Nissan was, a lot faster and stuff. It just the things that people wanted to trade me and stuff. And I was just like, dude, just bring me what I'm asking for. It's not. I'm asking like a ridiculous amount of money for it, but I mean, there was a couple offers that were like, okay, but the dude wanted me to drive like 3 hours to fucking come bring it to him. And the thing with marketplace, I think the people that want to buy this stuff, it's like, I'm selling the shit. You ain't, like I'm not just gonna give it to you because you want to buy it off marketplace and you think you deserve it at the price you got. I get it
Yeah.
if you got that much money, but it's not enough.
Yeah. Or I like when somebody's selling something though, even if it's not on marketplace. Like I've been at places like even a flea market, and I've seen something like whether it's an old comic book or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and it's not priced, and I'm like, what do you want for it? And they're like, well, I don't know, what do you give me for it? I'm like, oh, good. So you want me to buy it and sell it too for you, right? No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I hate that shit, man. I was actually just at a Brass Armadillo's antique dealer. That's a series. There are a ton of people that are selling stuff out of this place. It's a huge warehouse out in Gretna for like $370.
Yeah,
Place is awesome. There's always changing stuff in and out of this place. They have like these like big glass huts that you gotta go get unlocked and look through stuff and everything. And then you see some like actual antique stuff where it's like, oh, this is really nice shape. This is old. It's got, like if it was like a stand or something, had a marble top. Dude, some of the shit that these people want for this stuff. I was just like, dude, did you steal this out of a church or something? Because it's not worth, the $1,000 you want for just the one bookend. But it's like, good luck.
Our wives are talking about maybe going to this event this weekend called Junk Stock, and it's like I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm into old cars and stuff. I don't care about antiques. I like watching the videos where they restore, like it could be an old butter churn or an old Tonka truck where it's just rusted to shit and they fix it and make it brand new again. I love watching those restoration videos, but I'm never going to be the kind of person that buys and sells antiques or anything like that. I just don't care.
Yeah.
But I went to Junk Stock 2 years ago, and they had like this bluesy band playing there on stage and stuff. It was fun, man. It was a fun place, and I got drunk as shit. Me and my buddy that's coming to town next week, actually, he's from Ohio. He's from Ohio. Him and his wife and their kids came out, and my kids watched his kids, and then all of us adults took off we went to that giant liquor store, and then we went to Junk Stock or whatever it was. But it was a lot of fun, man. It was
I haven't
cool.
been to one yet, because my thought was that it'd be cool to go walk around and like look at some stuff. But
Food's good too. They got like fair foods like
that's cool.
smoked turkey legs and stuff usually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, but I just the thought of just looking at a bunch of like old broken shit to buy shit.
It's cool to see the creativity that goes into some of the shit that they fix up, though. That's kind of the neat part of Junk Stock, I think.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never said I wouldn't go to one, but I just haven't been to one yet.
Yeah.
That's like going to I always tell myself every like summer or the time when it gets nicer out to be up early in the mornings on a Sunday is to go to a farmer's market.
I love farmers markets.
I've been to a couple. They're cool.
I love fruits and vegetables though too.
Yeah,
so.
I'm a big all of that. But I just haven't. It's been years since I've been to a fucking farmer's market.
Yeah.
I know some places have like really awesome ones, and then there's a few that are just kind of like, oh, it's cool. And the farmers are there's stands all over Omaha, to like buy stuff during the summertime to get like sweet corn and all that stuff. But back to like where I just remembered what I was getting ready to say about the whole car thing with your cousin. Or is it cousin or nephew? Nephew with his LS Swap Honda.
You can check him out on Starbuilt, STARRBIULT. I think it's I don't know if there's like any underscores or anything, but you'll just see like in his social media stuff, like on TikTok and Facebook or whatever he does. and his YouTube channel. It's like I'll just give him a quick plug, you know.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure. I mean, anybody
uh,
that LS swaps anything's fucking awesome.
I could probably even find a link or something and post it in the description.
Okay.
But yeah, it's check him out, man. He's got a lot of love in this car. He's got a lot of work in this car,
Yeah.
and he's a family dude. Like he's married and he's got a kid, and he works his ass off, and he's still, you know, he puts so much time and effort into this car. Like I was pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
Of him.
There's a car. There was a Subaru, like I think it was a 12 STI. So there's certain years that they did these WRXs and STIs that were a hatchback basically. And I was always like really into those because they only made them up for a few years, and trying to find that's like one that's really clean, it's not rusted or anything. It's just like kind of a unicorn at this point almost. It's almost like getting like a Subaru Baja that's turboed and a manual. That's like the unicorn of Subarus and shit.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be awesome, and there's a few guys doing it, but basically taking out that shitty boxer engine. I know there's probably a lot of Subaru guys that are hitting their vape pen real hard and trying to slam their Monster energy drink. But I've had a couple of Subarus and stuff. I've had a couple of WRXs and stuff in different years, so I'm not a super hater. I'm over. Those are like the leaky Harleys of the tuner world. Those engines, they suck to work on. There's always problems with certain things with those things. I get it. I've owned a couple. I'm fucking over it. Not so much the car in general. I love the drivetrain and stuff, just not the engine. So there's been a few guys that been able to figure out how to use those transmission plates for an LS motor to keep the drivetrain, so keeping it all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And swapping in an LS motor in the Subarus. So I found a 12 STI with a engine that has issues with it, and to swap that LS motor that it's got a little bit more power to that all-wheel drivetrain is like a super, like, oh man, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But everything, I just sold that project car that would be money to go down on this Corolla GR that I have on order. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna get the new car. It would be amazing to have a project that I can daily drive that's, you know, super reliable engine for a GM engine. To have an all-wheel drive like set up in a little hatchback would be awesome, but
you could still take it out to Pacific Junction and run the shit out of it.
Yeah. And then, just to try to do that to make sure it still had heat and air would be like kind of a challenge and all that stuff. But I was just like, I found it's so easy to like get an LS and just put a cam in it, and for not a whole lot of money, and you can do this to pretty much virtually just about any car. Rear-wheel drive is, obviously way more easier than trying to do it in a Honda. So I'm interested to see is he making it? Is it an all-wheel, like our rear-wheel drive? So it's a front-wheel drive Honda with an LS motor in it.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
I'm almost positive that's what he's got in it.
Okay.
I've only seen it briefly, and
because he had another Honda that was turboed, that was like turboed like crazy, like real fast, right?
Well, that was this one, I thought.
Oh, that's this one? Okay.
I see, my thing is I don't know about the imports as much as like the old muscle cars. Yeah. Like that's kind of where I live at.
Everything nowadays, like it can be LS swapped like crazy. Like that's like the huge new thing here in the Midwest, and that was another huge pain in the ass for that project car that I had, was that trying to find somebody that can tune that Nissan stuff that wasn't going to charge me ridiculous amounts an hour, and that could have the time for it. Trying to find somebody to tune it was like, it sat for probably almost a year and a half waiting to be tuned when it was all done. So here in the Midwest, the stuff, LS swapping, everything there's a ton of guys that specialize in just that motor in general. So like swapping that stuff over is so much easier here in the Midwest than tuning, a Honda and stuff like that now. Which you would think it'd be easier to tune a Honda because it's fucking 4-cylinder, But
so we're at an hour and 13, and we said we are going to try and keep them around an hour.
Yeah.
Again, we're not putting a egg timer on it either. If it goes over, it goes over. If we do a shorter one, we do a shorter one.
Sure.
But I guess before we do cut out, is there anything else that you want to go over?
No, man. I think from all of I think we're starting to cut it a little short bit. We went back down that rabbit hole again, and I think we're starting to chase our own tails with some of the subject matter for today. Because we can keep chasing it, and we hope we've kept you hooked on
engaged.
Yes, engaged,
if you will.
Yes. So, yeah, man. We're gonna wrap it up for today. I don't really have any like closing comments or anything. Like Vinny said, if you want to get a hold of us or give us some subject matter to talk about, anything's on the table. We don't. I mean, I talked a little bit about my past today working in the porn industry.
We're not going to judge.
Yeah.
We just don't. We don't care.
Yeah.
But powerdumppodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit us on our Instagram. Our @ is going to be powerdump_podcast.
I'm sure we'll have fun with that too. We'll post some little bit more clarity, like videos or like little clips of us, and then we'll put the logos and stuff out there. Like I said, in the future, we're planning on doing possibly some T-shirts and stickers and swag and stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, also let us know that you guys are interested.
Definitely,
I'll get started on that. I can't wait to get out on Apple and Spotify. I know a lot of people like ask on a regular, is it on Spotify? It's just like, it will be soon. We've got a couple of hoops that we got to jump through.
Yep.
So,
but we're getting there, and if we're having fun doing it, that's what we set out to do. That was our main goal. It's like, we didn't say, hey, let's start this podcast and become big podcasters and maybe get rich or something. Like, cool if that happens, but it's like, let's just bullshit and have some fun, and hopefully people like it. And that's what we're doing. I've had a lot of fun in these episodes.
I look forward to like coming in, like just talking about, shit that
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff that could matter to us a little bit. It could matter to somebody that's listening, and generally, in the same grand scheme of things, they don't really matter. I'd rather just entertain a few people with some of this discussion stuff,
or some of the dumb shit we say.
Yeah, and laugh a little bit while you're on the way home driving, or if you're at work and you got a job where you can listen to this, even better. I know my brother listened to it while he was working and shit. That's awesome. He can do that. So
thank him for listening too.
Yeah,
as well as everybody else that's listened.
Yeah, I've had good feedback so far from like family and people that have actually listened to it. So.
And I'm watching. It's slow going, but I'm watching. And we're not doing a big advertising campaign. We're just telling a few folks about it and hoping it spreads. So watching our YouTube counter kind of tick up one at a time. It's fun,
Yeah, I mean, just spread the word for us if you would, please. I mean, this is
Power Dump Podcast on YouTube. powerdump_podcast on Instagram, which we don't have anything there yet, and powerdumppodcast@gmail.com is our email, and I'm getting a website worked on and stuff like that too. It's going to be basically one central website that's going to have links to all our other shit, so that should help organize it a little bit and make it funner. But for now, again, if you've stuck with us this far, it either means you're really bored or you're just as messed up as we are, but we appreciate it either way.
Yeah, man. And you never know. If somebody can get a hold of the girls that were in the 2 cup, one cup, we could totally interview them.
Definitely interview them.
Yeah. We could talk about smells and textures. It would be gross, but I know people out there want to know.
I want to know, like, is it real? That's the biggest question I would have for them. So, and who knows if we get an honest or straightforward answer, but nobody wants to admit that they ate 7 cans of ravioli.
Yeah. Or how many sick bastards actually jerked it to watching that disgusting video. But hey, I'm not judging.
Yeah. But again, I am Vinny.
I'm Nick.
And this has been the Power Dump Podcast, and we just appreciate the shit out of you guys listening.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Have a good one.
You too.